feel like there just aren't enough hours in the day to get everything done? Or maybe you have the time, but you don't have the motivation or the energy to actually complete or tackle your to do list. If this sounds familiar, I just want you to know right now you are not lazy. There is not something wrong with you. You just have a capacity problem, okay? And we're gonna fix that. My name is Elyssa Smith. I'm a trauma informed life strategist. And in today's episode of the Unlock Your Blocks podcast, I'm gonna walk you through exactly where your capacity problem started and how you can get through it so that not only will you have more capacity, but you will also have more peace, calm, and joy in your life. How does that sound? Good, right? All right, let's dive in. So, where exactly did your capacity go? Maybe you used to be super productive. Maybe you have been historically the hero daughter like me, and you got everything done all the time. Maybe you were a little behind. Maybe you procrastinated. Maybe you were a little perfectionistic, but you got a lot of stuff done all the time. Or maybe you have just always plowed through everything all the time. And right now you're just really, really overscheduled. And that's why there doesn't seem like there are enough hours in the day. Or maybe you have fought productivity your whole life. Maybe you have hit the brakes on your productivity and the motivation because you've just been burned out. These all are rooted in early childhood brain programming. And I'm going to explain to you why the simple reasons why this happened, why your brain wired this way, and the really simple tools that you can use to get to the other side of it. So, if you are overscheduled right now, if you are in the camp of perfectionists and overachievers where we just schedule too many things, like we have no time in the calendar, but you might not even feel like you have a choice about that. Maybe you've got kids. I have one-to-one client right now. She homeschools multiple ones of her kids. She is also working a part-time job. She is also doing elder care for members of her family. So there's legitimately a lot going on in her calendar. But you may be in that camp where I've got too much going on, but I don't really see where I can drop any of this off of my list. You also might be in a place where you're like, I have the time, but when I wake up in the morning, I just feel like I can't get out of bed. I can't even face the to do list. So, whether you're the overworker or whether you're the one that is feeling a little bit like a slug, which let's be honest, all of us are all both of these things sometimes, you learned at an early age, this is the best way to stay safe. This is the best way to survive. Let me explain what I mean. Maybe you resist doing work or working hard. Maybe you're feeling a little bit more on the sluggish side. Maybe you're feeling unmotivated and uninterested, uninspired with the to do list, and you feel really overwhelmed by doing this stuff. If you do, it's because your survival system, which is rooted in the right brain, in the amygdala, and is controlled kind of by what your vagus nerve, which is your main nerve that is in charge of the nervous system responses, you are responding to a type of stress that feels to your survival system like you're going to die. It believes that if you can't resist all of the hard work that's coming your way, that you're not going to survive. You are resistant to the work because maybe it was never enough growing up. Maybe you had the messaging from the people around you that you need to work harder, be better, do more all the time, and it was never going to be enough. Maybe you were in the shadow of the perfect older sister. I was the perfect older sister. I'm using air quotes high. That's not a real thing, but I was the perfect older sister, and my siblings were in my shadow. And so they underachieved in some areas because they just felt like they could never attain the perfection my parents wanted that I was already supposedly attaining. But for me, I screeched to a halt in my 20s because I had been working my little tail off for over a couple of decades at that point, and I wasn't any further along in anything that made me light up inside. I was realizing I found myself after college, after a double major, after traveling the world, after doing national and international competitions and winning and doing these things, I found myself post college working part-time retail and not having any meaning in my life. And so I went into this, what we call this dorsal shutdown, in not wanting to do any work. And I was only working part-time and I had no idea what to do with myself. I felt overwhelmed at every little thing. So I've been all over the spectrum. And what it comes down to is, what did your nervous system learn was safe and would get you the most results in getting your needs met and taken care of? Now, if you learned that overworking made you somehow stand out in a way that was good in your family of origin, you would have become an overworker. Schedule every little thing in. Say yes when you really want to say no to things. Don't set boundaries. Let people walk all over you. Say yes, more please when someone is heaping stuff on you. If you had your fill of that, or if you were always just the one who was like not, who was in the shadow of the perfect older sibling or something, then you would have resisted doing the extra stuff, because why bother? It doesn't feel like it gets you anywhere. It doesn't feel like it accomplishes your goals. It's the same root need in both of these situations. Your system is wired to try and get your needs met somehow, and it will act in a way without you even really choosing it, in a way that just overwhelms the senses one way or the other. It will take over with your survival system response to try and help you get your needs met. If it believes that resisting your task list because you're burned out is going to help get your needs met to rest, it will have you do that. If it believes that overscheduling yourself keeps you safe, that doing and being and pleasing keeps you safe, it will keep you adding things to your calendar. So there are some obvious implied problems in both of those scenarios, but what does this look like as an adult? Okay, so if you have survived that way your whole childhood, now as an adult, you have no capacity to actually tune in to what you really want and need to do, whether you're overscheduled or burned out, or both. You could be overscheduled and burned out. If you're overworking, you're not going to be able to tune in, because your next bit of safety comes from knowing more and doing more and scheduling more and saying yes to more. That's what your system thinks. It's not true, but we haven't updated the programming yet, right? It's an old program that needs to be reset. Joy takes a back seat. You can't accomplish your goals. Your to-do list overwhelm keeps you stressed and either resisting the work if you're in that burnout phase, or scheduling more work for yourself if you're in the overworking place. So not super fun, right? We're not getting goals accomplished. We're actually just pushing back all the things that are going to move the needle. We're not feeling good in our bodies because none of that is actually aligned with what your inner child really needs, with the inner true you really needs. She needs rest, even when all the work isn't done. I know. She needs to have capacity for everything she's doing. We don't ask a little kid, I mean, we shouldn't be asking little kids to do more than they have the capacity to do, right? We don't work our 5-year-olds into the ground. So, nor should you work your inner 5-year-old to the ground. You know, there's still a part of you in there at whatever age you didn't get your needs met. That age developmentally is kind of still with you somewhere in there, believing the same old things. So, it's up to us as adults to reprogram and to reframe how all this looks and how it can look going forward. So, how do we do that? I literally had someone ask me in a call yesterday. She said, okay, how, because I work in Eastern hours, I work until 6 p.m. most days of the week. So she was asking, like, how do you work so late? Because she runs out of steam early in the day sometimes. And so I just it took me off guard, because I've been doing this particular way of working, and obviously I have my own business, so I can make my own hours, but I do have to be really focused because I have clients that are in different time zones that need different time of days to work with me. And so I told her, I said, well, I am very intentional that my morning with clients or with my team, meeting with team members, my whole staff or my director of ops or whatever, none of that starts before 11 a.m. during the week. And if it does go before 11 a.m., like I have one, actually, I'm doing a podcast interview next week and we're starting at 10 a.m. because she's in a different time zone and she has a 9 to 5 job that we have to kind of work around. So I can do that, but it's at 10 a.m. I don't work with anybody before 10 a.m. And I have slow mornings with my son and who I homeschool, you know, with great help from my sister and family members. But we can have a slow morning. And I used to feel guilty about talking about it, because that kind of meant for me, and the kind of culture I grew up in, and the what I used to do for work in retail and in finance was all very like da da da, you have to be going all the time, you have to be on call all the time, you have to be doing all the things at once. And so to talk about taking a break was like, I'm sorry, are you lazy? Like, what kind of non-achiever are you that you slept in until 9 a.m.? Like, I can sleep till 9 if I need to, guys. And you know what? This last 2 weeks, I sprained my ankle and I have needed a lot of recuperation time. And there were nights where I wasn't sleeping at night. So I would need to sleep a little bit during the day. And the old me, 5, 10 years ago, Elyssa, would say, like, oh my gosh, what kind of a lazy girl are you? No one's going to want you. No one's going to like you. No one's going to take care of you. So it's up to us to update the programming that says, even if I'm lazy, I still love and accept myself. And we have to kind of trace back those thought processes. Why is it that taking a break before the work is done makes me lazy? Why is it that saying no to someone when I could say yes, because I'm so used to running myself over with extra tasks? Why is it that saying no to something, it can feel physically painful, ladies? Like, it can really feel painful. So This is a real survival system technique. These are real coping mechanisms. So when you have had to to lean on coping mechanisms growing up, and let's just be honest, they got us to survive to here. This is good. These are good coping mechanisms. These are good protector parts who have come out and who are saying, like, I will care for you. I will make sure that you get the things that you need. And if that means that I need to shame you, shame you, shame you for not doing more, being better, then that's what I'm going to do. And those little protector parts work real hard on our negative self talk, on our imposter syndrome, on our perfectionism, people pleasing, procrastination. All of those things come out when they think we need them. So, how do we overcome this? How do we overcome the overscheduling, the overworking? I've got a friend who's like, I think I might be a workaholic. I mean, I'm like, yeah, man, that's how we stayed safe for a long time, is by working too much or not working enough and just bucking the tradition. So here are a few steps that you can take to increase your capacity and to increase your peace, your calm, and your joy. And this is where I started when I realized in order to hold emotional space for my one-to-one clients and for my membership members, I need to be able to move at my own pace first thing in the day. And so I shifted my whole business and my childcare plan and everything gently and slowly. And as I hired my team, it became easier. But I took baby steps to creating space for myself. And in the morning, it just looks like what I want it to look like. I work out sometimes with my trainer, I work out sometimes by myself. I get a nice shower. I get to make my workout drink and my adrenal cocktail for the day. I fill up my water bottle for the day and I take good care of myself. I have a cup of tea. I do meditation. On an ideal morning, I do all those things. I don't always get all of those in, but I just have this idea that, hey, if I shoot for getting all of it done, I'll get some of it done. And then I forgive myself if it's not all done. That then gives me the capacity. I am unbelievably productive now in short spurts of time because I have that capacity that I created for myself. So by becoming very intentional about pausing when you're overwhelmed, that's the first step. Pause when you're overwhelmed. It's counterintuitive. If you are a doer, a worker, you're the hardest little worker in the room, it is counterintuitive to pause when overwhelmed. It doesn't feel safe. But I would encourage you to just take a moment and do the 3 S's. This is my framework for calming the nervous system. So I'll just tap into this for a second and then I've got a couple more things and we'll close it out. So the 3 S's are to stop and take 3 deep breaths. So that is your safety. First S, safety. Stop and take 3 deep breaths whenever you're overwhelmed or stressed. It doesn't take very long. So if the little inner overachiever inside of you is like, we don't have time for this, just tell her, hey, listen, it's 60 seconds at the very most. We can do this. So 3 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. That conveys to your survival brain without words, hey, we're actually not running from a wild animal, or we wouldn't be able to slow down and take these big, deep breaths. Second S, self-nurturing. This is like self-care, but I want you to specifically focus on your 5 senses. So you're going to do something nice for your sight, taste, smell, sound, touch. Okay. Any of those or all of those. You can just literally make yourself a cup of tea or a cup of your favorite beverage, and that hits 4 out of 5 senses. So you don't really have to work hard at this. It could be 5 minutes or less. The third thing is to get connected with someone safe. So this is your support step. That's the third S, is support. So somebody who always supports you, someone who is unconditionally loving to you, just reach out. Remind your system, hey, I am actually part of a herd. I'm not kicked out. I'm not going to get picked off by a predator. Once you've done those 3 things, then you can move on to these questions. What are you resisting? Are you resisting work? Are you resisting rest? Are you resisting a pause or a slowdown? And then the second question you ask yourself, why doesn't this feel safe? You might be surprised at the answers you get. And once you get some of these answers, you can start to uncover the root of why this thought process started in you to begin with. If you want some help going through this thought process, I offer women a 15-minute free chat with me where all we do is uncover the origins of the things that are keeping you stuck now. So if you want to uncover your limiting beliefs, if you want to take a look at past traumas that might be influencing you now, I'm your girl. So I hope that's helpful. And I hope that this can put you in a self-compassionate mindset about why you're doing what you're doing and why you don't have the capacity you want to. And I hope you'll just take some gentle steps from today's episode and really start to take baby steps for increasing your capacity and your calm. Until next time, I will see you soon. Take such good care of yourself.